Hello again, folks. Martin Lena here from Orange Technology, and in this video I want to talk about education, most specifically certifications in the technology industry, more particularly as it pertains to IT specifically, but the technology industry as a whole. And I actually want to talk about this topic. I've talked about this topic a few times. I mean, if you guys know me from blogging, geekbraindump.com, all one word. Go and have a look. There hasn't been much traffic on there in a while, but I will be posting again soon. Um, but uh, but yeah, I've talked about it a little bit there. I've talked about it a little bit in my other videos, but I want to talk about it a little more in depth. So I'm going to dedicate a video just to certifications and education in the technology space, particularly as it pertains to IT. Again, for those of you who don't know who I am, I run Orange Technology up here in Whitehorse in the Yukon. That's in northern Canada. We are on directly bordering Alaska, so I am 2 hours away from the Alaskan border. So that's geographically where I am. The nice thing about our industry, the technology world, is it does not matter where you physically are. It doesn't matter. You can be anywhere on the planet, as long as you got the internet. That is pretty much all you need, right? So, what do we do? We're basically an IT services provider or a managed services provider. We deal with technology on the whole. We deal with on-premise, in the cloud, mobile, whatever it is, and we provide solutions, right? So we are a technology solutions provider. And as such, I mean, I've got a number of staff, and of course, comes of course the questions of education, certification. How do I hire staff? How do I get staff? I'll start just by talking a bit about my own staff. I have a really good staff crew right now. They're very engaged. They're very motivated. They're eager to learn, eager to work. And most of them don't have any certifications or formal education in technology whatsoever. That's pretty much it. When I hire, because of where I live specifically, so this is more of a geographical problem for me. But where I live, it's very hard to find trained and qualified technology professionals. You don't really find, for example, MCSEs. Quite frankly, you barely find people with A pluses. Again, I'm not saying the A plus is relevant or worth it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just for say, formal education wise, there's very few people in my area that have that kind of training or education. Just for reference, I live in the capital city in the Yukon. It's about 30,000 people. It's not very big, but it's not extremely small either. There are a number of IT service providers operating in the area. I do believe I am the largest. But that being said, there's not a lot of formally educated folks around to hire. So, what do I do when I hire staff? I look for attitude. Attitude is the number one thing I look for. Basic understanding competencies, of course, part of that as well. And I mean, really, I'm looking for somebody who's willing to learn, right? Somebody who wants to work in the technology field, somebody that wants to learn, somebody that wants to grow themselves and know more and increase their skills, right? Attitude is something you cannot teach. I can teach a lot of IT. I am actually an IT instructor as well. I teach courses at our local college. I've taught everything from BlackBerry smartphone use to Apple iPad to I've done a course on VoIP and things like that. So it does exist, right? So I I am able to teach and train people. So pretty much, I mean, as long as you have an aptitude of using a computer and you're not scared of hitting buttons and clicking things, I can teach you a lot of basics, right? I mean, I can teach you basic server administration. I can teach you how to install a server, configure a router, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's not a huge deal. Most of the staff we bring on board, of course, they have a good attitude. With that comes, of course, I fixed my own computer, I've set up the network in my house and things like that. So, I mean, there is a little bit of experience in that. Generally, I don't find people with a lot of experience. The problem with people with a lot of experience is they want to get paid quite a bit, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I mean, the bottom line is if you're looking to make, $150,000 as a technology professional in the private sector, that, unless you're working for a large corporation, which we don't have up here, again, populations of 30,000 people, you're simply not going to find those kind of wages. The closest thing you will find is working for the government, working for the public sector. We do have a very large public sector up here. That being said, again, you're going to get $150,000? Probably not. So you're going to get 100? Probably not even that. Probably a little bit less. That's the landscape, guys. If you think you are going to go and get, your A+, your Net Plus, whatever, CCNA, and then you are going to make $100,000 plus as a job, I don't think so. Maybe you can do it yourself. Maybe if you own a business, maybe if you're a consultant, you work for yourself, maybe you can achieve that goal. But as an employee these days, it's not going to be that easy. Again, help desk is not going to pay you $100,000. It simply won't. Will it pay you a decent wage? I do believe that's still available right now. I think you still can be, a systems admin. Again, up here for the government, you could be a systems admin, and you'll make, $60,000, $70,000 a year. Is it 150? No. Is it 100? No. But you can make some money. It's not impossible to make money. That being said, there's that whole argument of, is the IT profession dying or shifting? My opinion would be that it is shifting, definitely. We are moving more towards, in the past, if you were like a systems administrator, you administered systems physically located on premise, you were responsible for those systems, that's it. What we're seeing now is a lot of stuff going to the cloud, right? So you're seeing software as a service, you're seeing application as a service. You have a web application that you log into, right? So I would argue it's not so much the systems administration now, it's more the overall technology management. And what I mean by technology management is really you're vetting third-party vendors. You're dealing with the regulatory requirements, the privacy legislation and regulation that you have to adhere to in your area. How will this service work with the quality of internet you have? Where are you geographically? Where is the service geographically? How will you manage users? Who has access to what? Who can do what? All this kind of stuff. So it's more, my opinion would be that we're moving a little bit away from the core systems administration, server admin stuff, and we're moving more towards technology management, and that's data management and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I think we're looking at. That's kind of the industry as a whole. But for me as a managed services provider, we provide basically full IT and technology services to our clients, right? So a lot of our clients, they have a number of computers, number of staff. Some of them will have a small on-site server, mostly for data storage, being able to share network applications, and then they'll have some stuff in the cloud. They'll have data backup regimes and all this kind of stuff. Security. I actually think there's a growing field for security, especially with other cloud services. I know that differs a bit from what the opinion of a few others are. But I actually think that is a growing field. I do think, like, when you think of like cybersecurity, it's not what a lot of people think. I think it's actually a little bit different, but I do think it is a growing field. Security and data protection and regulation legislation and all that stuff is a growing field. So anyways, that being said, when I look for staff, I need well-rounded staff. I need people that can do systems administration. I need people that can liaise with cloud providers. I need all this kind of stuff, right? VoIP, we do a lot of VoIP, do a lot of IP phone systems. So I need people that are experienced, that can get experience or can be able to troubleshoot those things. Again, when I hire employees, very, very, very few ever come through the door with any kind of real experience, real credentials. If they do, they're asking a crazy amount of money that's just not feasible, right? I mean, bottom line, if you have your CCNA and you're expecting 150K a year, in my area, in my geographical location, that is just not feasible. You're not going to get a job at that wage with those credentials. And again, for those credentials that would get you a job like that, like maybe if you were a CCIE, is there a CCIP? No, CCIE I think is the top level Cisco certification. If you have that, maybe you qualify for a job at 150K a year, but that job's not available here, right? We're not large enough of a jurisdiction to need that. Maybe if you want to go work for the federal government in Ottawa or something like that, maybe there's a position there that has, because their network is large enough to require that. So I'm not actually sure. I'm just guessing, but I would say if you were looking for that kind of a wage, it certainly would not be here. Anyways, so again, I mean, I hire staff. It's based on attitude. It's based on general competency and ability to learn. It is not based on previous experience or formal education. Okay, so that being said, what do I think of formal education? What do I think of certification? So I'm doing this video now because there's somebody that I've been talking to for quite some time, just going back and forth, kind of email, LinkedIn, actually, we go back and forth a little bit. This is an individual who's interested in getting into the IT field more and more, and this person is talking about certifications, okay? So they're talking about their A+, Net+, CCNA, MCSE, this kind of stuff. So which route should I go? I would argue that my opinion is that certifications are not bad. They're not bad to have. They look good. They're a check mark on the HR hiring box as a consultant or as a third-party IT provider. They look good to present to clients. Clients don't know the difference between certifications and not certifications. They don't know the difference between the certifications. All they know is, hey, this guy says he's got certifications. Hey, that's good. I trust, without knowing this person, I trust that they are who they say they are, that they are competent in the technology field, that they know what they're talking about. Of course, if you don't know what you're talking about or you're no good, that only lasts a certain amount of time, right? I mean, at some point, if you're no good, that will be found out and something's going to happen. Someone's going to have a failure and lose data, or something not good's going to happen and you will get fired, right? But again, basically sight unseen, if they have no experience with you and they don't know who you are, if you have certifications, yes, that does look better than not having any. Would I say certifications are more important than experience? If you can say, I've been doing this for 20 years, here are all my references, that is more valuable than a certification. Absolutely, that is more valuable. That being said, again, if you don't have a lot of experience, then you can use the education part. Okay, there is value in certifications in training and formal education. Okay, I will say that there is value in it. That being said, how much value, right? If you are choosing not to start working and getting experience in the technology field because you don't have formal education, formal certifications, that's not good. I would say it is important to go and get experience and start working in the field as soon as possible. That is more important than getting your certifications first. Okay. My opinion would be, this again, strictly my opinion, start working in the field, start getting experience, and if you want to do some formal education, do it at the same time. Do it in parallel. Okay? Experience is what we get paid for, right? There's an image floating around LinkedIn right now. As you on LinkedIn, I'm sure you've seen it. It's a guy. It's a small story, but basically it's a large ship's engine stopped running. So they called in this very experienced mechanic who spent 5 minutes looking around. He had a little hammer. Okay, he just started looking around. He tapped a little bit, and then after 5 minutes, he smacked something with his hammer, and the engine came to life. Okay, a month later, the company receives the bill, $10,000. And the owner of the company goes, whoa, you were only there for 5 minutes. I would like an itemized bill from you. So the person sends the bill back and says, tapping metal with hammer, $5. Knowing where to tap, $9,995. Okay. Again, it's kind of corny, but it absolutely makes sense. We are paid because we have experience and we know how to fix things. For a company, for example, for a company that hires Orange, my technology solutions provider, they hire us because we know how to fix things. We know how to deal with things quickly, right? If a client calls and says, I cannot access my my invoicing software, my accounting software. We know that accounting software. We know how to deal with it. We know how to do basic troubleshooting on it. If it's more advanced, we know who to talk to in order to get that back up and running. The client could probably call the accounting software guys themselves and walk through, their help desk with basic troubleshooting, but they'll start from everything like, is your network cable plugged in? Okay, let's check if it's enabled, right? Go to start, go to control panel, go to network connections, etc., right? And time costs money. In the business world, time costs money, right? It is cheaper for them to call us and pay us $100 an hour or whatever it is to go and fix that and get it done in an hour than it is to have the system down for 6 hours and pay one of their employees, $15 an hour to talk on the phone with somebody. The end result may be the same, but if they can get there sooner by paying a little more to us, they will do that. That is how business works, right? I mean, I actually just had to do this. I bought a new car for the business, and the used car dealer. I'm not sure if it was a used car dealer or if this was done beforehand. I believe it was a used car dealer. I haven't been told otherwise, so I'm going to assume it's used car dealer. I could be wrong, but the used car dealer detailed this car before selling it, and the detailer. So you have the black trim on your car, the black plastic trim, and if the car is a bit older or it's been in the sun a lot, that black trim gets faded. So there's a product called basically back to black, and what it does is you apply it and it brings that faded black trim like jet black again, and it looks really good. Now the problem with that stuff is it's only meant for plastic trim. It's not meant to be applied anywhere else. And I think when the detailer went and applied it, they applied it, but they over applied and it went on paint. So if you think like the rubber stripping right below your window on your door, right below that weather stripping is paint, right? And what they did was they applied it and it went on the paint, but it also went on the window too. And this is one of those things where it's a real pain to get off. I know how to get it off. I'm actually an automotive detailer myself. I did that as a job, in my early 20s, I guess, very early 20s. I also owned an automotive detail shop. That was my first foray into business ownership, into entrepreneurship. So I had staff for that, and so bottom line, I know how to remove that. The problem is I didn't have the time. I was in the middle of a 3 week um, infrastructure deployment for a very large client. I was busy. There was a few other things going on. I did not have the time to deal with this basically, and so what I did is I actually found a paint correction specialist. He charged me a very reasonable rate to get it done. I hired him. He came and he did it. Spent a few hours on that vehicle, got it all fixed up, and it looks great now. Would it have been cheaper for me to do it? Absolutely. Absolutely would have been cheaper for me to do it. But the problem is I didn't have the time, right? I did not have the time and I was busy doing other things. So I just hired this guy to do it. Now, again, this is a business decision, right? So again, my point here is we get paid because we have experience and we know what's going on. So my opinion is always going to be go and get experience, go and start working in the field, right? If you want to get formal education, if you want to get certification at the same time, by all means, do it. I'm not opposed to that. I actually think there is some value to that. But again, the other thing is cost, right? Cost. I'm actually doing a course right now. I'm starting in a couple days here. It's called Certified Penetration Testing Engineer. So this is basically penetration testing for networks to make sure your networks are secure and don't have any known vulnerabilities. Certified ethical hacking is kind of the same thing. This one's done by a company called Mile 2. Okay, so Mile 2. They do a couple certifications. This is, the handbook of what the course is, and I've done a few certifications with them. I've done something called Certified Information Systems Security Officer, CISO. I have done CDRE, Certified Disaster Recovery Engineer, and now I'm doing CPTE, Certified Penetration Testing Engineer. So I'm starting that next week. It's a week-long course, and then I take the exam, and then I am certified. If you actually go on Mile2's website, you can actually look up certified students. There's a link, there's a little image there you can click on, find certified students. If you type my name in, Martin Lehner, Lehner, I believe I am the only entry with that last name, and you will see the certifications I have there and when I got them, which is actually kind of cool. That being said, these are expensive courses, okay? This particular one is about, I want to say 31 or 3,300 US dollars. In Canadian dollars, that winds up being about $4,200 for the course. Previously, they're all similar amounts, a little more, a little less. But I actually have gotten funding to take these courses through various programs. One is called, the one I'm using right now is called the Canada Job Grant. So basically, the government has implemented a program for training for people working in specific industries, and they're giving money to you. I believe it's $10,000 a lifetime for training for specific things. So, for example, this Certified Penetration Testing Engineer, I got funding, which covers most of the cost of the program, of the certification, through a government training fund, which is really great. I really like government training funds. I think they're very useful. I think that university is expensive. College is expensive. Even though it's subsidized already, it's still expensive. And in my opinion, I don't think post-secondary education should be free. There should be an onus on the person to invest in themselves. There should be some. That being said, it can get very expensive. In America, for example, it can get really expensive, really expensive. And the other problem I have is a lot of these post-secondary institutions, they're putting out programs and courses and diplomas and things like that, and what's the term I'm thinking of? fields of study, programs of study that really don't have many job prospects at the end of them. And that really sucks. Like a lot of the cybersecurity stuff you find. Again, I think cybersecurity itself is a growing industry. I think what's being sold as cybersecurity education and training, I think a lot of that's crap, right? Like a lot of that is quite useless. This particular course, again, $4,200 for me. It's very specific. Now, I have a very specific need for it because of what I'm doing with a number of our clients. So it makes absolute sense for me to take. But I mean, if I didn't have a job and I didn't have any experience in IT in technology, and I went and did that course, I'm not going to get a job with that course, right? I have a specific need for this education, so I am taking it, but it's not because I'm just going to take that and then go look for a job, because I won't get a job with that. And that's the problem I see a lot. So again, I am a fan of government funding for skills training and things like that. They're covering a big portion of the cost of this. If I had to pay it 100% myself, would I? It's an expensive course, right? Would I pay for it myself? Again, I have a very specific need for this course, so I would probably look for an alternative. I really like Mile 2's method of delivery. I have a specific way of learning. I can't just read a book and learn it, especially if it's hands-on. I need to be shown, like I need an instructor to walk through it. That's just how I learn. I like how Mile 2 does that. They have, basically it's a WebEx. And the instructor goes through everything. And then also throughout the course, throughout all of the days, there's practice exams and questions and tests. And then you give your response in a private chat to the instructor. And then, the instructor goes through why the correct response is the correct response and why the incorrect response is the incorrect response. I find that really helps me for learning. That's just me personally. So I actually like Mile 2. That being said, they are expensive. They are one of the more expensive ones out there. So again, without government funding, without it being subsidized, would I do it? I may try to find somewhere else to do it cheaper, right? But the bottom line here is, I see people going after things like A+, Net+, CCNA, and they spend thousands. Like, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars getting yourself certified in these things. Okay, you can spend a lot of money getting certified in these things. And again, if you don't have any experience, it's not going to necessarily help you get a job. It's really not. You need to have that experience as well. I want to be clear, I'm not anti-certification. You do have to be careful what you're getting. The A+ is useless. In my opinion, the A+ is absolutely useless. Something specialized like this is useful for very specific situations and circumstances. Will it get you a job at the help desk? Probably not, actually. Will it get you a job as a systems admin? Again, if you have other stuff and you have experience in other things, it'll help. But will that on its own do it with no experience? Absolutely not. That will not get you anything. Again, I have a very specific need for it. And you really need to, for you guys who are thinking about this, you really need to understand when you have that specific need, or when something makes sense for you because of your particular situation or what you're doing, right? But if you're looking to get into the technology field, you need experience. You need to start working in it. And again, if you want to do formal education, do it in parallel. Education plus experience is the best. It kind of goes like this. If all you have is education, you're at the bottom. If all you have is experience, you're above the guy with education. If you have experience and education, you're going to be above both, right? But experience will trump education, right? So my opinion is you should go and get the most experience you can get. Also do some education, get some certifications, right? Ones that make sense for you. Again, I have a number of certifications. I have actually have quite a few in the industry from different certifying bodies, blah, blah, blah. But it's my experience. My experience, when I go in to talk to clients about, me or Orange as a provider, the company, when I go and talk to clients, it is about, this is what we have done for other people, right? I just got a IP phone system deployment because I was able to say, you know what? I've got another client that literally has the exact same number of employees. Literally, it's like exactly the same number of phones, exactly the same number of phone lines. It was kind of weird. It was literally exactly the same, completely different businesses. But I was able to say, I just did this for this person. And they actually call that other company up. They asked, could we call up the company? So I asked the company, would you give reference? They said, yeah, of course. I said, okay, yep, it's these guys. Call these guys up. They called them up and they got a reference, and that was it. And that was experience, right? There was no question about, are you certified in this? Do you have a license? Do you have a designation to do this? Nobody asked that. They simply wanted to know, could you do it? Yes, I can. I've done it before. And that was it. As soon as I said, I've done it before, they said, here you go. Here's your check. Do it. Okay, perfect, right? Again, that had nothing to do with education. If I'd never done it, I could say, hey, I'm certified in this. I know this. I can do it. Trust me, I can do it. You know what? Maybe they'll do it. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll go, okay, yeah, the guy is educated in it. Let's give it a shot. Or they may go, if he hasn't done it before, I don't want to be the guinea pig. No one wants to be the guinea pig, right? If you're learning and you're starting out, somebody's going to be the guinea pig. They may not know they are, right? They may not know they're the guinea pig. Or they may know and they may accept it. But the bottom line is, somebody's going to be at some point. But nobody wants to be the guinea pig. So everybody wants to be, have you done this before? Yes, I have. Okay, perfect. Do it again for me, please, right? Do the same thing you did for everybody else. And that's where experience trumps education. But literally, if all you have is education and zero experience, it's going to be harder for you, right? If you have no education, no experience, that's really tough. But you got to start somewhere, right? So you really need experience. You need experience. So that's kind of what my take is on this whole certification world. Also, something to keep really in mind is we are not a regulated industry, right? If you are a medical doctor, okay, that is a licensed profession, okay? You must have a degree from a medical school, a recognized medical school. If you don't, you cannot be a medical doctor. It's that simple, right? Lawyer, you have to have a degree in law. You must pass the bar exam. There are things you must do in order to get into that profession. If you want to be a professional engineer, okay, a PEng, particularly the PEng designation. If you want to be a professional engineer, you must be a member of the Professional Engineers Association in your area, right? That is the governing body. Without that governing body and without being a member, you cannot use the title PEng. It is a licensed profession. Again, can you use the word engineer? That's kind of up in the air because these associations don't actually have a copyright on the word engineer. It's kind of like accountants. Accountants don't actually have a copyright on the word accountant. They have a copyright on the word chartered accountant. That's a licensed profession again as well. But anyways, that's a different topic that I will talk about because somebody tried to get me in trouble with that once. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But basically, unless you are in a licensed and regulated profession, again, doctor, dentist, nurse, lawyer, accountant, these things, there you need a formal education. You have to go through the program. You have to have the competencies. You have to pass. The thing is, though, is once you pass and you have that certification, because that certification is only given to so many people and it's very specific, you won't have a problem getting a job. Like a chartered accountant has no problem getting a job even if they have no experience yet. They really don't, because the way the program is built, you're actually getting experience because you intern while you're doing the program. So it's actually, you actually have some experience already because it's built into the program. And once you graduate from that program, because it is a licensed profession, it is assumed you know what you're doing. You're a CA. They don't ask anything else, right? I, a business or government or whatever will say, I need a CA. I need an accountant. I'm an accountant. Here's my resume. They do not question whether you are competent as an accountant or not, right? If you show up and say, I have my A plus, you may still get questioned on your competency. You may not actually, it may not be automatically assumed that you're competent, right? Because again, we are in an unlicensed, unregulated profession. And part of that is why you see all these A pluses and all these certifications that really don't really do much for you, because we're not a licensed profession, right? I tomorrow can start offering something, I don't know, Windows hardware technician certified. I'm not sure if that's actually a certification that's out there. I just made that up. If that's something that's out there already, I just made it up, right? So I could start that tomorrow and start handing out certifications. Nobody can stop me. We're not a licensed profession. There's no governing body. There's no association for the technology industry. So I can just go and start that and nobody can stop me, right? Is it useful? Will someone get a job with it? That'd be kind of cool if they did, but really probably not, right? It'd be absolutely useless. I would just be taking people's money and they wouldn't be able to get a job with it and it would just be complete junk, basically. So, I mean, again, based on that, you really have to go and you have to look and you have to see what makes sense for you, right? Don't just go and get these certifications and assume you're going to get a job after, because in all likelihood you probably won't, or it's going to be very difficult for you. These are things you need to think of. These are things you need to figure out, right? So yeah, again, we're over the 30-minute mark. I try to keep my videos to 30 minutes. Again, that becomes a 3 gig file for me. I have to upload that. Look in my previous videos. I talk about I have limited internet bandwidth usage at where I live. So I only get about 100 gigs a month of usage. So at 3 gigs a video, that's why I publish on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's just the limitation. I could publish every day. I have enough videos to publish every day, but I just can't upload them. So that is the issue. So yeah, I try to cap them to about 30 minutes. We're actually reaching close to the 40-minute mark. I talked a little bit longer on this one than I thought I would, but again, I see so many people looking at these certifications and they think that's going to get them the job and that's what they need to do and that will get them to where they need to be, and really it's not. My opinion is that it's a combination of experience, more heavily weighted on experience, and then education. Again, having both is not a bad thing, absolutely not, but again, you need to pick and choose as well, because there's a lot of money you can waste on education in the technology field. A lot. So again, that's basically a buyer beware, right? Make sure the certifications you're getting are relevant to what you need and what you need to know. And yeah, and go from there. Again, experience. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will see you guys at the next one.